inside the $1 billion Putin Palace. As one of the most powerful world leaders of our time, there's no doubt the Russian president leads a billionaire lifestyle. In fact, he has one such property known as the Putin Palace that was allegedly built off of taxpayer money. While Putin denies this, there's no doubt that the palace itself is quite something. In this video, we'll go over some of the more dubious aspects of the construction and ownership of the Putin Palace, as well as a quick look inside the palace itself, going over some of its many features. Before we start the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and be sure to watch to the end for some bonus content. Alright, let's get started. Who owns the Putin Palace? The current owner of the Putin Palace is owned by Arkady Rotenberg, a billionaire businessman who made his money in the oil and fuel industry. Rotenberg claims that the palace itself will actually be converted into an apartment hotel in the near future. However, Rotenberg was not the original owner. The project itself was started by the Russian government and was bought in 2011 by Alexander Ponomarenko, a billionaire banker and real estate tycoon. In fact, the government was close to abandoning the project due to lack of funding and was willing to sell to Ponomarenko at a reasonable price, an estimated $350 million. Considering the property is now worth over $1 billion according to some experts, that's quite the steal. However, leaked financial documents claim that it was purchased not for $350 million, but a mere $350,000. That's a reasonable price for many homes around Russia. But to get an entire palace for a price like that isn't just a steal, it's a strong indicator that something fishy is going on. However, Ponomarenko later sold the estate to Rotenberg some years ago for an undisclosed price. Corruption around the palace. The actual construction of the Putin Palace is dubious at best. For starters, some of the contractors working on the palace made note of its connection to Putin. The construction of the palace was always kept under close scrutiny by the Russian Secret Service, too. Contractors have been investigated from all sorts of angles, including from an ecological standpoint, as all this construction greatly affected the ecology of the surrounding area. While no conclusive proof was enough to halt construction, investigations such as this are all we really have to go on when it comes to the very secretive Putin Palace. But perhaps the most information we can glean about the Putin Palace comes from the Russian politician Alexei Navalny. More corruption around Navalny. Alexei Navalny has always been an anti-establishment politician. Perhaps because of this, he was poisoned with a nerve agent back in August of 2020 on a flight to Russia, from which he was able to recover from. He left the country and returned again in January 2021, where he was promptly arrested. While in prison, Navalny released a 2-hour-long documentary that goes into all the details of the Putin Palace, which we've linked in the description. Most of what we know about the Putin Palace comes from drone footage from Alexei Navalny. Navalny claims that the Putin Palace cost over $1.3 billion to construct and was funded on the taxpayer's dime for Putin's personal use. Navalny explained a corrupt scheme that he believes Putin used to hide and launder billions to pay for the estate. But Putin has gone on record saying he does not own the palace, his family does not own the palace, and he never once owned the palace. He just visits it from time to time. But really, who could blame him for that? Since this is Russia we're talking about, these accusations of Putin using the taxpayer's dollar to fund his private resort bigger than some countries ultimately landed Navalny in prison. The citizens of Russia have recently protested this arrest, demanding justice for Navalny, as well as the truth about the palace. Currently, the protests are still ongoing. What do you think will come of this? Let us know in the comments. Around the palace. While footage and video of the Putin Palace is somewhat difficult to come by, we do have a general idea of what the property has to offer. And it should come to no surprise that this is quite the property too. Taking up almost 40 times more area than the Principality of Monaco, the Putin Palace could almost be considered a small town on its own. It's got a church, harbor, armed guards, helipads, and even a border patrol. It's also a designated no-fly zone, and it doesn't end there. There's allegedly an underground ice hockey rink, beach access, amphitheater, a casino, a hookah lounge, and extravagant gardens. These gardens include an arboretum with all sorts of different, unique, and exotic trees. There's also a huge greenhouse that hosts some of the more delicate flora and fauna that can't quite take some of Russia's more extreme temperatures. There are also things known as aqua discos, huge fountains with colored lights and lasers that dance to different kinds of songs, giving a unique feel and sound to the palace as well. And there are a ton of buildings around the palace too. Not only enormous guest houses, but facilities for the staff that work there and the contractors who keep everything running smoothly. There is a dormitory, a staff headquarters, and multiple trailers around the property for this huge staff of people. The property is so large that it's essentially always being worked on no matter what. Inside the palace. Inside, the Putin Palace is a huge array of rooms with more space than you could ever hope for. Once again, details on the interior are slim, but we do have some photos of the interior that were leaked online. It's clear to see that the interior of this palace spares no expense, with high ceilings, intricate pillars in the main hall, wall and ceiling paintings, gigantic chandeliers, and more. The bedrooms are spacious with king-sized beds and bed curtains. The bathrooms are huge too, with separate bath and shower facilities. Not only that, but since the palace is built on a cape, it goes deep. Under the floor of the palace, there are 16 stories of basement going all the way down to the beach. The underground complex of the Putin Palace would even put the Batcave to shame. The floor plan of the palace was leaked to Navalny by one of the contractors, so we have a general idea of the layout of the building. There's a ton to do inside the palace itself, of course, with a swimming pool, massage room, spa area, saunas, multiple bars, multiple kitchens, a hospital room, and more. The future of the Putin Palace. This palace truly is more like a castle than a home, and there may be something to Rotenberg's plan to convert it into an apartment hotel. With spacious rooms and nearly endless facilities, as well as a ton of space outside and more than enough security. Perhaps a suspicious amount of security, actually. There's no reason why the elites of the Russian government wouldn't want to take up residence there. However, the protests surround the palace. Putin at the palace. There is evidence to support that Putin has often visited the Putin Palace, which is no surprise. When he does, though, things around the palace change quite a bit. For starters, the maintenance crew goes into overtime mode before he gets there, making sure absolutely everything is up and running, all according to code. Being on call in the middle of the night to do things like clean dishes, repair lights, repaint walls, or put down fresh turf and maintain the gardens is par for the course. When Putin arrives, this maintenance team disappears and is no longer allowed on the property. Meanwhile, Putin is free to walk around and enjoy the numerous facilities the palace has to offer. He also never arrives alone, always arriving with Russian Secret Service agents, who do most of the arrangements with the palace staff to keep everything running smoothly for Putin. Thanks for watching our video. Looking for more videos about the lap of luxury? Check out this playlist. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss more videos by us. We've got 2 more videos like this one about the billionaire lifestyle coming up soon. While we make no claims as to whether Putin or Navalny is telling the truth, we implore you to watch the documentary Navalny put out and decide for yourself what to think about the Putin Palace and the corruption surrounding it. Once again, the link to that documentary is in the description. Regardless, we think the Putin Palace is an impressive display of what being fabulously wealthy can grant you access to. Let us know what you would want in your palace in the comments. Anyway, we'll see you in the next video. Take care.